Welcome to BaseballGuys.com. I'm your host, Ray Flowers. World of Baseball will do what it's done for many years now, and that is engage in interleague play starting on Tuesday. Now, personally, I don't like interleague play at all. I think it's an abomination. I think baseball should have left things well enough alone, left the game the way it had been played for 100 years with the National and American leagues playing separately, only meeting in the All-Star game and in the World Series. But alas, those days are long gone. Baseball will not go back on what has become one of the more lucrative situations in the game. Tons of fans love it. It's here to stay. Look for those games to start on Tuesday. Excuse me, and don't forget to change your lineups based upon your fantasy players, because there might be some players like a David Ortiz, like a Vlad Guerrero that are DH only that may not be playing in NL ballparks, and conversely, there might be extra NL bats that'll see some time in the designated hitter role. Trade talks are heating up around the world of baseball. That's no surprise as we get closer to the trade deadline in late July. We've got names like Roy Oswalt, Wigginton, Conor Jackson, Lowell, many others being bandied about. The biggest name at the moment is obviously Roy Oswalt. He says he's open to a trade. He's looking to go to a club and have a chance to win, something he doesn't have in Houston. Lots of rumors flying all over the place. Rangers, Mets, all over the place. We're going to continue to hear this. Look for the Astros to basically look for the highest bidder, see if they can move a guy like Oswalt. But guys like Lowell, guys like Wigginton, guys like Conor Jackson, they might end up being the most interesting pieces from a fantasy perspective because they might go to better ballparks, be in better lineups, have better chances for playing time. A guy like Lowell who hasn't seen much of it in Boston. Keep an eye on that as we move forward. Suppan returns to the Cardinals. He's been awful for a couple of years. Didn't give the Brewers anywhere remotely close to the value on that $40 million 4-year deal they gave him. He's back in St. Louis. He'll get a chance to work with Dave Duncan. Dave Duncan has saved many a pitcher from the scrap heap. People might look at Suppan and think that's going to happen. I certainly don't think that's going to happen here. I wouldn't buy into the hype that'll be surrounding Suppan now that he's back with the Cardinals. Though if you're in an NL league, it looks like he's going to start on Tuesday, and he'll get a chance to make his mark in that rotation, but I would stay far, far away. Pablo Sandoval of the Giants, last year one of the stars of the game, one of the rising stars in the fantasy world. He's got the panda thing going on, Kung Fu Panda style, all that kind of stuff. The fans love him. But the production just hasn't been there this season. He's been relegated to 7th in the lineup recently in the Giants batting order. As far as what his work has been at the plate, he's hitting 282. He's got a handful of home runs. He just hasn't been anything like the guy that hit 330 with 25 bombs last year. In fact, he's been awful, straight awful lately, hitting 234 over his last 39 games played. Why? His batting average on balls in play is about 50 points down where it's been the last year and a half, last 2 years actually with the Giants. His home run to fly ball ratio has been cut in half. His line drive percentage is about 3%. Now, if you look at those things and think, hey, that's the kind of hitter Sandoval was, those numbers will then increase and get back to his career levels and have a really strong second half. If you look at the numbers and say, hey, I'm not sure, and many players in the game are capable of producing a hit rate of 350, yeah, that's where we're at with Sandoval. I would look for the power to increase. I would look for the batting average to improve. But the longer this slump goes, the longer we look at a guy who really does have no clue at the plate sometimes, swings at everything, and really gets by on his physical gifts, you have to worry more and more about his chances of putting up a season anywhere remotely close to what we saw from him last year. Matt Cain, see the new Giants ace? It's a good question asked. We've had some struggles with Tim Lincecum. He's looked better of late in his last 2 starts, but still, so far this year, there's no debating the fact that Matt Cain has been the most consistent pitcher in the Giants' rotation. Cain, whose ERA is barely over 2, has allowed 2 earned runs in his last 41 innings pitched. How has he had success? It's a little bit of luck, actually. His strikeout rate is down more than a full batter per 9 innings based upon his career rate. That's not a good sign for a guy moving forward. His strikeout to walk ratio then is exactly the same as it was last year. That doesn't speak to the decrease in his ERA. His home run to fly ball ratio has been a big factor. He's basically cut that number in half, which is extremely surprising given that he's currently giving up the highest fly ball ratio of his career. The bottom line with all those numbers is Cain hasn't pitched anywhere near as good as the ratios show him right now. He's probably going to regress. He's no different a pitcher really than he's been in the past couple of seasons. Cain will be a workhorse. He'll pitch 200 innings and put up solid numbers, but this is probably as good as it gets, and Tim Lincecum is still the ace of the Giants staff. Qualls has been a disaster. ERA over 8, whip over 2. The entire bullpen in Arizona has got an ERA over 7.5, the worst in baseball. No one can get anyone out there. Finally, it looks like the team is going to make the decision to remove Qualls from the 9th inning role and basically give it to the only guy in that bullpen who's had any kind of success at all, and that's Aaron Heilman. Now, Aaron Heilman, yeah, you know Aaron Heilman, the Cubs pitcher, the Mets pitcher. He was good for a few years, really struggled the past couple of seasons. This year, his ERA is below 3, his WHIP's below 1.3. Not great numbers unless you're an Arizona Diamondback reliever. Look for him to get a real shot here to run with that save opportunity in the 9th inning. Definitely worth an add in NL-only leagues if he's out there. Those of you in mixed leagues who are prospecting, the name to remember, Aaron Heilman should get a lot of chances moving forward, and if he's successful, he could hold on to that job long term. And then finally, Pedro Alvarez, one of the biggest names in baseball as far as minor league prospects come, the #1 prospect for the Pittsburgh Pirates, could be called up to man third base as early as this week. Now the GM came out, Neil Huntington said, look, we're going to bring him up, he's going to play every day. That means Andy LaRoche is going to move to a reserve role. Sorry for Andy LaRoche, owner in NL leagues. What will the team do to open up a roster spot? Akinoue Iwamura, Ryan Church, these guys are in danger of potentially losing their spot on the roster when Alvarez is called up. Again, it may not happen this week, but it very well could. Alvarez is someone immediately must be grabbed in NL-only leagues if he hasn't already. As far as mixed leagues, if you're in a deep league, 15 teams, something like that, Alvarez is a guy you should probably go and get before the bidding gets too heavy. I'm Ray Flowers, BaseballGuys.com. Thanks for joining me here on Around the Horn. And don't forget to visit me at twitter.com/BaseballGuys so I can give you updates all throughout the day.